"Excuse me, can you get me another champagne? And make sure it's actually cold this time." Veronica Ashford didn't even look at me when she snapped her fingers, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she dismissed me like furniture. Around us, the company gala buzzed with executives and investors celebrating another record-breaking year. My company's year. The business I'd built from nothing, then strategically stepped back from to let others take the spotlight. Veronica had no idea who I was, just another face in a simple black dress. But when she loudly announced to her circle of friends that the help these days has no sense of professionalism, something inside me shifted. It was time to remind everyone exactly who built Ashford Innovations. I'd remained anonymous by design. 12 years ago, when I invented the algorithm that revolutionized data encryption, I was a 26-year-old nobody working out of a cramped apartment. The technology attracted attention immediately, but I learned quickly that being a young woman in tech meant constant questioning, dismissal, and attempts to push me aside. So I made a calculated decision. I brought in Daniel Ashford as CEO. He was charismatic, well-connected, had an MBA from Harvard. Everything investors wanted to see. We structured it so he'd be the public face while I remained the silent partner, retaining 40% ownership and final say on all major decisions. Daniel got 35%, and we allocated the remaining 25% to key investors and employees. For over a decade, it worked beautifully. Daniel handled press conferences and board meetings while I focused on innovation, developing new patents from my private lab. The company grew from a startup to a tech giant worth $3 billion. I'd personally built 7 of our core technologies, filed under various subsidiary names to maintain my anonymity. But Daniel's wife was a different story. I'd met Veronica Ashford exactly 3 times before tonight. Each encounter was brief and forgettable, charity events where I blended into the background, observing. She'd married Daniel 5 years ago, attracted to his wealth and status. She spent her days shopping, posting on social media, and cultivating an image as a tech industry wife. Tonight, though, she'd crossed a line. "Did you hear me?" Veronica's shrill voice cut through my thoughts. "The champagne? Or do I need to speak slower?" Her friends giggled, and I noticed several company executives glancing over uncomfortably. They knew who I was. Michael Chun, our CFO, looked ready to intervene. I smiled politely. "Of course. Right away." I walked toward the bar, feeling Veronica's mocking laughter follow me. But instead of getting champagne, I pulled out my phone and sent 3 text messages. The first went to Daniel. Conference room B. 10 minutes. Non-negotiable. The second went to Michael Chun and our head of legal, Sarah Rodriguez. Emergency meeting. Conference room B. Bring the partnership agreements. The third went to building security. Activate recording systems in the main ballroom. I need footage from the past 30 minutes. The responses came immediately. Daniel's text showed confusion. "Everything okay?" "I'm in the middle of talking to the Meridian investors." I replied simply, "Your wife just called me the help. We need to talk. Now." 6 minutes later, I stood in conference room B, pulling up documents on the large display screen. The room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ballroom below, where Veronica held court, still laughing with her entourage. Daniel arrived first, his face flushed. "Eleanor, what's going on?" Veronica said someone was rude to her. "Your wife has been calling me the help for the past 20 minutes. In front of our investors, our employees, and our board members." His face went pale. "She doesn't know who you are. I never told her about the ownership structure." "Why not?" Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "Veronica likes simple narratives. She thinks I built this company from scratch. Telling her about a silent partner who owns more shares than I do, it would complicate things." "Complicate things," I repeated flatly. "Your wife publicly humiliated a 40% stakeholder in a $3 billion company because telling her the truth would complicate things." Michael and Sarah entered, their expressions grave. They'd clearly witnessed the scene downstairs. Sarah laid out the partnership agreement on the conference table. "For the record, Eleanor, you have every right to trigger a leadership review based on conduct clauses. This situation qualifies." Daniel's eyes widened. "Wait, you're not seriously considering." "Sit down, Daniel." My voice was quiet, but he sat immediately. We'd worked together too long for him not to recognize when I was deadly serious. I pulled up the security footage on the display. We watched Veronica's performance. The finger snapping, the dismissive tone, the announcement to her friends that the help these days lacked professionalism. Then came the part where she'd grabbed my arm when I didn't move fast enough, her nails digging in. She assaulted me, I said calmly. On camera. At a corporate event. Daniel looked sick. Eleanor, please. She didn't know. I'll talk to her, make her apologize. This isn't about an apology. I turned to Michael. Pull up the expense reports for Veronica's corporate card usage. Michael hesitated, glancing at Daniel, but ultimately his loyalty was to the company. And to me. The spreadsheet appeared on screen, and I heard Sarah's sharp intake of breath. $847,000 in the past year alone. Personal shopping, luxury vacations, spa treatments, all charged to company accounts and categorized as executive entertainment or client relations. That's embezzlement, Sarah said quietly. Daniel, you signed off on these expenses. She's my wife. It's not embezzlement if the expenses are legitimate business costs, I interrupted. A $12,000 handbag isn't a business cost. A 2-week vacation to the Maldives isn't client relations. You've been using company funds to finance your wife's lifestyle, and you've been misrepresenting it to the board. The silence in the room was suffocating. Daniel's career, the image we'd spent 12 years building, was crumbling in real time. I can fix this, he stammered. I'll pay it all back. Veronica will apologize. Please, Eleanor, we've been partners for over a decade. Don't destroy everything we've built over one mistake. One mistake? I pulled up another file. This is the 3rd complaint about Veronica's behavior at company events. Last year, she berated an intern to tears. 6 months ago, she demanded a junior developer be fired because he didn't recognize her at a restaurant. HR flagged both incidents and you buried them. Michael closed his eyes. I had no idea it was this extensive, because Daniel made sure no one did, including me. I looked at my partner, former partner, really, with something close to pity. You chose protecting your wife's ego over protecting our employees, over protecting our company culture. Sarah was already drafting documents. Eleanor, what do you want to do? I'd been asking myself that question since Veronica had snapped her fingers at me. The easy answer was to expose everything, force Daniel out, take public control of the company I'd built. But that would destabilize Ashford Innovations, damage our stock price, hurt the 2,000+ employees who depended on us. Here's what's going to happen, I said finally. Daniel, you're going to remain CEO, but with conditions. First, you're paying back every fraudulent expense with interest. Second, Veronica is banned from all company events, permanently. Third, you're going to announce the true ownership structure, including my identity, at the shareholders' meeting next month. Eleanor, no, the publicity, the questions. Should have thought of that before you let your wife assault your primary stakeholder. I'm done hiding. Daniel's face had gone gray. If you go public, everyone will know I'm not the founder. My reputation will survive if you handle this correctly. I cut him off. Tell the truth. You're an exceptional CEO who was brought in to scale a revolutionary technology. There's no shame in that. But if you keep lying, if you keep covering for Veronica, I will trigger a full leadership review, and you'll lose everything. Sarah slid a document across the table. This is a modified partnership agreement. Sign it, or Eleanor exercises her right to call for your removal under the conduct clause. You have until midnight. I stood up, smoothing my dress. I'm going back to the gala. Your wife is still holding court down there, probably saying more regrettable things. You have a choice, Daniel. Clean this up, or I will. I left them in the conference room and returned to the ballroom. Veronica spotted me immediately, her eyes gleaming with malicious delight. Oh good, the help is back. I was just telling everyone about your little attitude problem earlier. Darling, she called to a passing waiter. Is she new? Because she clearly needs better training. The waiter, a young man named James who'd worked our events for 3 years, looked mortified. He knew exactly who I was. Actually, I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet section of the ballroom, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Veronica's smile was venomous. The only misunderstanding is thinking someone like you belongs at an event like this. Maybe stick to the kitchen next time. Several executives had stopped talking, watching the scene unfold. Michael Chen appeared at the ballroom entrance, Daniel beside him. My partner's face was ashen. Someone like me, I repeated softly. You mean the person who invented the core technology this entire company is built on? The color drained from Veronica's face. What are you talking about? My name is Eleanor Hartley. I own 40% of Ashford Innovations, more than anyone else in this room, including your husband. I founded this company 12 years ago with a data encryption algorithm I developed. Daniel has been the CEO, but I've been the primary stakeholder, the chief innovator, and the reason this company exists at all." The ballroom had gone completely silent. Phones were emerging from pockets. This would be all over social media within minutes. Veronica turned to Daniel, who'd finally reached us. "Tell her she's lying. Tell everyone." "She's telling the truth," Daniel said quietly. "Eleanor is the founder and majority stakeholder of this company. She's been the silent partner since the beginning." I watched the realization hit Veronica like a physical blow. She'd spent the last 30 minutes publicly humiliating and assaulting one of the most powerful people in the building. I didn't know," she whispered. "That's the problem," I said. "You didn't know, so you assumed I was beneath you. That I was someone you could dismiss, someone whose feelings didn't matter. You judged me based on the fact that I wasn't wearing designer clothes and dripping in diamonds. You never considered that maybe, just maybe, there was a reason I was at this event." Sarah Rodriguez appeared with security. "Mrs. Ashford, you're being escorted out. You're no longer welcome at Ashford Innovations events. You can't do this." Veronica looked wildly around for support, but found none. "Daniel, say something." Daniel's voice was hollow. "You assaulted a board member, Veronica. You've been embezzling company funds. Eleanor is being generous by only banning you from events." The security team led a protesting Veronica toward the exit. The crowd parted like water, everyone recording, everyone watching the spectacle. I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But then I remembered her fingers snapping at me, her voice dripping with contempt, her casual cruelty toward someone she deemed unworthy of basic respect. Daniel stood beside me looking broken. "I signed the agreement," he said quietly. "All of it. I'll make the announcement at the shareholders' meeting, pay back the expenses, everything." "Good. Eleanor, will we survive this? The partnership, I mean." I considered the question. Daniel had been a good CEO in many ways. He'd scaled the company, attracted top talent, navigated complex negotiations. But he'd also chosen his wife's ego over our employees' dignity, hidden my contributions to protect his image, and enabled behavior that went against everything our company claimed to stand for. "We'll see," I said finally. "You've got 1 month to prove you understand why this happened and why it can never happen again. Prove to me that you value substance over image, that you'll protect our people instead of your reputation. Do that, and maybe we can rebuild trust." He nodded, looking relieved and terrified in equal measure. I turned to address the room, which was still watching with rapt attention. "I apologize for the disruption. For those who don't know me, I'm Eleanor Hartley, founder and primary stakeholder of Ashford Innovations. I've chosen to remain anonymous until now, but circumstances have changed. I look forward to working with all of you more directly going forward." The applause started slowly, then built. I saw respect in faces that had watched me being dismissed minutes earlier. But I also saw calculation, opportunism, people already adjusting their mental maps to accommodate this new information. The story broke online within hours. Secret tech founder reveals identity after CEO's wife calls her. The help dominated headlines for days. The company's stock actually rose. Investors appreciated the transparency and were excited to learn about my ongoing involvement in development. Daniel kept his promises. He paid back $847,000 with interest, publicly acknowledged my role as founder at the shareholders' meeting, and instituted new policies on executive conduct and expense oversight. Veronica filed for divorce 3 months later, having discovered that much of Daniel's wealth was actually company equity she had no claim to. As for me, I transitioned from silent partner to active board member. No more hiding, no more letting someone else take credit. I hired a personal assistant to help manage my new public profile, expanded my lab team, and started mentoring young women in tech who faced the same dismissal I'd encountered years ago. 6 months after the gala, Daniel caught me in the hallway before a board meeting. "Thank you," he said, "for not destroying me when you could have, for giving me a chance to do better." "Thank you for taking it," I replied. "And Daniel, next time someone treats another person like they're beneath them, you intervene immediately, whether you know their net worth or not." He nodded, understanding. Respect isn't earned through wealth or position. It's the baseline we owe each other as human beings. Some people learn that lesson early. Others, like Veronica, learn it when they realize too late exactly who they've underestimated.